Hello, I'm Dean, and this is
Anne-Lill, and we're from Sydney, Australia. And when you see this, we're actually sitting on a boat up in the Whitsundays, and this beautiful rainy day in February.
exactly. It's in the middle of the wet season. We've come up to our current boat, the Queen Lizzy, which is a Bali 4.2, which we've had for about 3 years now. So we have retired and then decided to get more into sailing. And the initial plan was to do that slowly and carefully. So we'd never owned a catamaran other than a little Murray Cat 14 foot that I had when I was 18 or 20. Very different to a cruising catamaran. So we purchased a Bali 4.2 from Dream Yacht Charters, who are the Australian dealers for Bali. After we looked at a bunch of other brands, and we'll go into that another time. But anyway, we ended up with our Bali, and we did it and left it in the charter fleet so that we could learn as we went along. We didn't have time to be sailing full time anyway at that stage. So it was a good way of learning how to take care of a boat, how to fix all of the things on the boat that break, which is lots,
A lot.
all the time. Having a boat is all about a little bit of sailing and a lot of fixing boats in exotic locations. This is pretty exotic in the Whitsundays. So we've been coming up here for 3 years. We have sailed a fair bit on the Queen Lizzy now. We have sailed about 5,000 nautical miles. We've started our first trip in Newcastle and went all the way up to Airlie Beach. And since then we've been back down to the Gold Coast and back up again, and also from here down to Hervey Bay and back. So we've done a fair bit of miles and learnt along the way, done some training as well. So Queen Lizzy started us in this journey, and we kind of like it.
It's kind of been our a boat with the training wheels on, because neither of us had owned a sailboat before, as Dean said. And although I grew up by the sea, it has all been motorboats in my family, never sailing boats. So for me, there was a novelty to actually owning and taking care of a sailboat instead of a small motorboat. Mind you, it's easier with this one because glass fiber, not wooden like the boats in my family was, which was a big undertaking every year to keep in shape and not sinking when you put it out in the water again in spring.
Yeah. So Anne-Lill is from Norway and grew up in a town called Horten, which is a bit south of Oslo, and then moved to Australia about 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's why she has the accent. I'm from Sydney. Always lived in Sydney, but as of the next month or so, we'll be living on a boat in the Med.
Yeah.
So once we sort of learned all about the Queen Lizzy, as we call her, named after our dearly departed cat
yes.
called Lizzy, who thought she was a queen, we then thought we would like now to spend some time seeing the world. And what better way to do that than by sailing? So our first aim was to sail around the Mediterranean. So about 18 months ago, we ordered the Queen Lizzy 2. As you can see, we're not very imaginative with our naming convention. So Queen Lizzy 2 is almost finished, and we will be picking her up from La Rochelle in France, which is on the Atlantic coast. We'll be picking her up in about 2 weeks, and then spending a couple of months doing all the other aftermarket stuff to fix her up.
And if you ask, yes, we are retired, and we retired from the IT business. Both of us are, we like lists and plans and all of that. So when we then decided to buy this boat, the Queen Lizzy 1, we didn't know anything. We just ticked off the sales sheet, say, yeah, we need that. That sounds nice. Let's do that. Not realizing what we really wanted or what we really needed on the boat. We were lucky, though. We had good help of Christoph from Dreamyard to tick off the right boxes for us. So we don't really miss much on this boat except for maybe an integrated water maker. Other than that, I think we ticked all the boxes. But when we went into talking about, let's get another boat, we knew a lot more about living on a boat and having a boat. So we decided to go like this was a project, I would say. And we created this massive spreadsheet of things we wanted or needed to have on the boat. Thank you, Sailing Joy, for giving us the spreadsheet we got from you guys, because that gave us a really good starter point for where to even start nesting all the things you need. Because buying a new boat is really like buying a house. You need to outfit it from every angle, from the teaspoons to the beach towels you use, to the spare parts, extra water filters, you name it, you need it. So we sat down and we went through creating our little spreadsheet, which we will show you a little bit later in this video. And Dean will take you through what we were thinking and how we ended up with a massive spreadsheet that we did. And then, of course, when we did that, we also realized, hang on, there's a few things we need to test, which is not on the regular test sheets you get when you take over a boat. So we created yet another spreadsheet with testing. We will go through that one as well, so you can have a look.
Yeah. And look, we learned a lot from what we added to this boat. We haven't added anything too major, but we've added on Starlink. We've put on a water maker, a portable water maker, so that it's not there when the people are chartering the boat. And I should say the chartering is not like the chartering in the Caribbean or in the Med. Chartering up in Queensland, where we are, people will generally charter for a week, but then there'll be maybe a few days to a week or more in between when they charter and return it, and then time to fix things ready for the next charter. Whereas in the Caribbean and the Med, it's a shorter charter season, but your boat is out essentially 6.5 days a week, gets a half a day turnaround for cleaning and fixing, and then it goes out again. So the level of repairs that can be done is very minimal. Up here, you can sail all year round. There are, of course, some times in the year that's better for sailing than others. This is not the best time because it's cyclone season, and or at least raining a lot. But we're chartering all year round. But there's plenty of time then to get the boat checked, get it cleaned. They dive underneath the hull after every single charter to make sure that the hull is okay and charterers haven't hit anything. So, it's not like a charter in the Med or the Caribbean.
And you may say, well, you just chartered a boat. What do you know about boats then? Well, because we're very hands-on owners, we come up every 2 to 3 months and we spend a week, 2 weeks with the boat, going through the boat, make sure everything is cleaned, everything is repaired. If there's anything that hasn't been repaired, we do a lot of repairs ourselves. We talk to the guys that, turn over the boat between charters. And we actually take very good care of this boat, and we learn a lot about how to maintain her. Because, they don't know the boat as well as we do. So we can walk on the boat and within a few minutes we would know, okay, something is wrong up here. That ceiling panel isn't fixed to the ceiling properly. There's a leak here and something else is wrong. And then we just go about like this was a house renovation and we start fixing things. Owning a boat is fixing things in exotic locations.
Yeah. And look, we've certainly found having a sailing boat, one of the biggest or the hardest thing to learn would be how to fix things and renovate. So if you've never renovated a house, picked up a hammer, picked up a screwdriver, I guess if you pick up a hammer, it means you should have probably used a screwdriver. If you've never done any of that work, owning a boat is much harder because there is a lot of fixing things, being creative about how you can fix something well so it stays watertight or doesn't rust or whatever. So luckily we've done a lot of home renovating, apartment renovating over many years. So that was a skill we had. The sailing we weren't as skilled at, but we've learnt a lot from that.
And the funny thing is when we say we sail, people, do you got a skipper on board? Surely it must be so difficult to sail. What we have discovered, the most difficult thing is actually the repairs. Sailing you can be taught, sailing you can do courses, but figuring out what's wrong on a boat and how to fix it when you don't really have the spare parts or anybody near you with the right tools, that's a different skill set altogether.
Yeah.
And that's one skill set you have to develop when you have a boat.
Yeah.
Surely. And Dean and I, as I said, we used both IT, do projects and stuff like that. So we went about it quite methodically. And as soon as we got the boat, we started, okay, we need to sail more. We need to get more miles. We need to do some training. So we started off very simply because I'd never sailed before, been on boats, yes. So I did my competent crew. And I realized I had to do my day skipper at some point. Dean already had his competent crew, so he did his day skipper and his coastal skipper, and he's now doing his yacht master. And we've done like radar courses, VHF radio courses, difficult to say that one. And we even embarked on a one-day diesel mechanic maintenance course. And it's not a big maintenance thing, you just learned how to listen what's wrong with your engine and then try to troubleshoot where it is so you can call somebody to come and fix it for you. But at least you know where to look. That's very important.
Yeah. So we continue the training and that's certainly helped. That's helped us get better performance out of sailing the boat. And our aim was also that both of us are competent sailors because we'll be mostly sailing with just the two of us. So if one falls overboard, gets sick, whatever, the other person needs to be able to handle the boat adequately and safely to get that other person who's not well back to a town so they can be then helped out further. So that's been our aim for both of us to be, I guess, cross-skilled, and we continue to keep practicing each other's jobs so that we can do that safely. The key for us is that we do this safely. There's no fun if someone gets injured or gets sick.
And a big shout out to Justin from Atlas Sailing School. He did a great job in making me more confident on the helm on the boat because I always get a little bit nervous, jittery, because it's a big boat and you can crash into things.
Yeah.
So he helped me quite a lot understanding how the boat moves, how the boat stops, most important, how it stops, and also learning me how to dock and stuff like that, which I need to do. I can't trust that Dean will be around to do it all the time. He can break a leg, he can get sick, he might be on land while I'm on the boat and something happens, so I need to be able to do it myself. So my advice, if you do what we are doing, get yourself a course, get some miles underneath your belt doing some sailing by yourself as well before you go and say, well, I just bought a boat, but I can't sail.
Yeah.
Do a little bit of sailing before you do, I bought a boat thing.
So the boat we have now is a Bali 4.2, which we love. It's a very livable boat. It sails well. It is very comfortable. We've done some bits and pieces to make it more comfortable. but it's very, very comfortable for 6 adults we've had on this. You can actually sleep up to 8, but 6 is generally all we've had. And it's been very comfortable. So when we decided to go over to the Mediterranean and to spend 6 or 7 months there each year for the next couple of years, we looked at slightly bigger boats. We looked at Bali 4.6, we looked at a Lagoon 46, we looked at
Fontainebleau
47. But we still came back to choosing the Bali, partly because it's a boat we already knew. We already knew exactly how all the systems work, all of the intricacies of where everything's installed, so it was certainly easier for us. But also we still love the livability of the Bali, and we'll show you a video of the big folding door at the back. We knew it handled very well in very bad conditions, because we've sailed our 4.2 in very bad weather for many days at a time, going up and down the New South Wales and Queensland coast.
And that's contrary to what many people say about the Bali, because as you may know, Balis don't have trampolines. They've got a solid foredeck and quite high freeboard. But as Dean said, we actually sailed this boat through some really, really rough weather up and down the coast, and she's handled exceptionally well, much better than the rumour says. And she's much quicker than the rumour says as well, as long as you know how to trim the sails and do it correctly.
So we seem to attract bad weather. So we've had many weeks now, cumulatively, of 30 to 40 knots on the nose in 2 to 3 metre waves. So we've well and truly tested her out and are comfortable with the build quality and the sailing ability of the Queen Lizzy. So we ordered a Bali 4.6 called Queen Lizzy 2, and we go to La Rochelle in France, which is where the factory is for the 4.6s. They have different factories in different locations. And we've been to the factory last year to have a look at how they build them. So we'll go over there and then spend about 2 months outfitting the boat.
Not only outfitting, but also testing, because you got a year warranty. And when we are in La Rochelle, we are very close to chandleries, the factory itself. So if something is wrong, it's easier to get it fixed there and then than just having to wait.
So the big thing we've found, having a boat, even just in a big city, like let's say in Sydney, it's still difficult to get spare parts because most of them are from Europe. Most of the suppliers here don't keep absolutely everything in stock, so you've got to wait. So our aim with the Queen Lizzy 2 is to make sure that we carry as many things as spares as we can. La Rochelle is the closest we've found to boat heaven that we can find. The marina has 5,500 yachts in it. There is more chandleries than I've ever seen in my life, and the chandleries are enormous. There are sail makers, there is curtain manufacturers, there carpet manufacturers,
motor specialists, Yanmar's,
everything, because La Rochelle or the surrounding areas is where so many of the brands are built. That's where Bali Katana is, so they make the Bali Catamarans and also Katanas.
And the Fontainebleau
is there. Lagoon is only just down in Bordeaux, which is only a short drive away. Anne-Lill, there's a bunch of others. I won't go through them all, but it's the place where so many boats in the Mediterranean are built. So all the associated suppliers are there as well, which makes life a whole lot easier for us. When we set out to order the Queen Lizzy 2, there were some things which we had previously got as a standard item from the factory, like curtains, that we decided this time to do ourselves. We went to La Rochelle a year ago and we met some of those other suppliers and were confident that they could do a good job for us. This is where we, I guess, walk the line between getting a production boat, which they produce hundreds of these things a year, not hundreds of each model, but certainly a couple of hundred boats per year from the factory. So some of the things are going to be maybe not as fancy as you want. So maybe the curtains aren't as high quality as what we would have liked. The clears and the shades around the fly bridge, we wanted something a bit more upmarket than what the standard Bali offering was. And other things like safety equipment, rather than getting the standard set of safety equipment from Bali, which is a whole lot easier because they just supply it all. We decided we wanted to choose what we wanted, so that we could get the specific brands that we wanted, but also it actually was a bit cheaper.
And also this added more solar to the boat. And by doing it in La Rochelle, we can get somebody to manufacture the solar rig for us, so we can get it exactly fitted to the boat.
Yeah.
That also then included us going over to lithium batteries instead of using gel batteries, which comes as a standard, and also getting more power on the boat in general through using lithium batteries. And there's lots of things like that which, if you do the factory options might be good, but might not be what we want to do, especially when we're going to live on the boat for longer periods at a time.
So we'll show you the spreadsheet, which will take you through some of our thinking about all the aftermarket items that we've added and how we've, I guess, built up a list so that we can pre-order everything when we get before we got to La Rochelle. So we've been able to order from the chandlery, which in our case we went with U-Ship, and we ordered literally hundreds of items from them. But we were able to send them spreadsheets of information, get all those orders prepared, and then delivered directly to the boat, which hopefully will arrive on our boat in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely.
So it did certainly help us going to La Rochelle and at least meeting people beforehand. It's not something everyone can do, of course. That's probably where, if we were just buying this boat and we hadn't been to La Rochelle, we would have probably just gone with a lot more of the standard factory options. But because we had the time, because we were retired now, we had some time to go through the list, talk to the different chandleries. I don't speak French at all. Anne-Lill is learning French.
Je parle un peu français.
Yes, and whatever she said. But all of the suppliers we've been talking to in La Rochelle have at least one person there who speaks English pretty well or very well, and certainly written communications via email they're very good at. It's probably sometimes easier to do all of this via email than to talk on the phone, but we've been able to organise all of it. So we'll take you through spreadsheet.
And also, before we end this segment, we talked a lot about the technical things we want to do with the boat. But one of the things you have to do with the boat is also what's going to go into the interior. And by that I mean beddings, linens, cups and saucers, teaspoons and all of that. And honestly, if you don't know where to go, you will spend days upon days upon days running around to shops trying to get your cups and saucers and whatnots and pans for the galley, and all the specialized bed linens, because no mattress on a boat is of course a square like the one you buy in a normal shop. They're all a little bit different shapes, so you can't get all kinds of sheets fitted to them. So by going to La Rochelle, we actually find people where we can actually put in an order for all of that, so I don't have to spend 2 weeks running around to every shop I can find to get what I want. I could just write down what I want, hand it into that shop, and they will order it and deliver it to the boat. So we're saving a lot of time just doing that as well.
Yeah, and it's certainly, we've found that it's very important if you're going to get any of these aftermarket things done, solar frames, more electronics, getting clears made, flexi-teak, any of those things you need to organise months in advance. Because of the weather in La Rochelle, they can't do some of this work in the middle of winter because it's just too cold. And they have a lot of people all trying to do things within a period of, maybe 8 or 10 months, maybe 8 months. So you can't just turn up in La Rochelle, find an electrician, let's just say, and ask them, okay, can you install some new solar panels and batteries next week? It's just not going to be possible. And when we first got to La Rochelle last year and talked to a number of the suppliers, you could see them tense up when we started talking about getting work done, and then instant relief when we said, but don't worry, you don't need to do it till next year. So booking these things in at least 3 months ahead was absolutely vital. If you just turn up, there is no chance of you getting any of that work done because they're all fully booked, because it's an incredibly busy boatyard area, and most of these suppliers are not just doing work for individuals like us. They're also being subcontracted out for the factories, where those factories offer a few more sort of custom options. So booking in advance, organising all that in advance is just essential. And the other thing that we decided, I guess, is why we're doing all this now in La Rochelle, is once you get into the Mediterranean and you're sailing around all the nice, beautiful little towns and islands and things, you're not going to be able to get the spare parts. You're not going to be able to get on call people to install all this equipment. We'll install some of it ourselves, but there's some that we won't, that we need the experts for. And in those cases, you just won't find them in those smaller towns. So our aim when we pick up the boat in La Rochelle is to have all the major spares that we think we'll need for the first 12 months to 18 months. The boat's under warranty, has 3-year warranty. So it's not like, we have to have every single thing there and available. If there are things that break, which we haven't got spares for, that's fine. We can get that covered under warranty. But some of the basic things, of course, your typical engine spares, spare filters for the water filter things, spare filters for the water maker, all of those sort of consumable things that will run out in the next year or so. We're getting those all in advance. We're getting certainly lots of spare parts, spare screws and nuts and bolts and spare lines and some halyard blocks. And
I'll let him show you instead of him sitting here talking about it or rabbiting about it.
Yeah, well,
we will take you
through it.
Take you through it on the spreadsheet. So Dean will take you through the spreadsheet and give you an idea of what we've done.